Hey everyone, welcome back to my garden. And this is going to be the first time we're trying to go live. I figured let me test this feature out, see how it goes, and hopefully if it's a smooth ride, we may keep this going in the future. So this episode is we're going to be talking about why and how to prune your ground cherry plants, which is right over here. This beautiful, beautiful plant over here. This is a part of the nightshade family. And this is going to be my second round of harvest, so hopefully I already gathered a couple of ground cherries. I had already about 4, and I actually tried one recently. It was really, really tasty. I'm going to be doing a tasting of it very soon as the next one ripens up. I actually wanted to try it out beforehand, see if I even like it, to be honest with you. But thankfully, it's a really delicious plant, and very nice fruit. And I noticed the second time, being that the ground cherries are forming now again, as you see, pretty much all over this place. We got a ton of ground cherries everywhere, lanterns, pretty much every single place you look. And if I zoom back, you see really just how big this plant is. And these lanterns, I noticed, are actually a lot bigger this time around. So most likely, I hope that the ground cherry inside is going to be respectively the same thing. So hopefully it should be just as big. And here's an example of what the flower looks like. So this episode, really I want to focus on the transplant, which I actually took off of this plant here. I spoke about how to take a transplant. You could pretty much clip this plant just about almost nearly anywhere you want. If I zoom you in, focus in right there a little bit, you see all of these tiny, tiny little microscopic little hairs all over the place. There must be thousands of hairs just on one little stem alone. So all of those, as soon as you cut it, you want to cut it at a 45-degree angle, and this way it exposes much more of the base of the cutting right there, and it will actually help with the root system growth, and it'll develop even more roots, as opposed to if you just simply cut it straight down. The 45-degree angle gives you much more space for the roots to grow, and it works quite well, and it seems to really kick off very fast as soon as you put it in the ground. You want to make sure the soil is nice and moist, or whatever grow media you're using is nice and wet, and make sure you give it a really good watering the first time you put it in. So if I actually focus you in on this ground cherry right over here, you see that it's nice and small compared to its mother plant over here, nice and big. It's been going on for about 2 to 3 months now, something like that. And this plant over here has been growing for a couple weeks, maybe coming up to maybe close to a month, something like that, maybe even less, probably less than that. And if I lift you up, you see pretty much the root system is looking nice, not too big, but overall looks nice and white, very, very healthy. Let me just quickly show you what the mother plant looks like. And in case this is the first time you're seeing my ground cherry plant, I'm actually growing this using a air pump. Look right over here. I'll try to put the link for the exact one that I'm using in the description. And I'm not sure if you could hear it, but let me come a little closer. It's nice and quiet. So very, very silent. I really, really like this pump. I actually changed it from the solar one that I was using, and I really prefer this one. It works really well. And look at that. Look at this beautiful, beautiful root system over here. And as soon as I turn this from the Kratky system to the deep water culture, you can see the air pump is pretty much buried underneath this root system. This thing kicked off like crazy, and it's growing so fast. I see the nutrients are just about done, so I'm going to be probably changing this out tomorrow, and I'll be refilling it probably about 2 gallons. It seems to work really well. And you see just how big the root system is supporting this big plant. Now that's why these ground cherries are actually growing nice and big and healthy, and I have a ton of ground cherries and flowers everywhere. But on the transplant over here, it's really small. Let me actually bring this down a little closer to me. There we are. So if you focus in right over here, look at this flower here. Yes, it's a ground cherry flower, and it looks nice and pretty, and it's beautiful, but the size does not compare. Look at the size of this one here, and then like a regular flower here. So you see that the ground cherry on the mother plant, the flower, is a lot bigger. I would say maybe about 2 times the size of this one here from the transplant. And you see just how small this transplant is. So what you want to do is basically just come in the beginning and clip these flowers off. When you clip the flowers off, it's going to refocus the plant. Instead of flowering, it's going to go back into vegetative stage basically, and it's going to be producing much more leaves and pretty much flowers and more branches. So you could leave these little baby ones, wait until they get a tiny bit bigger if you want, being that it's a little more difficult to reach and grab, and just keep clipping them as you see them until the plant gets a little bit bigger. I would say maybe I would wait until this thing gets probably maybe double the size until I want any flowers from starting to stay on and keep growing. So the reason why, like I mentioned, you want to take off the flowers in the beginning, all the blossoms, is I want to focus the growth on actually growing, not on flowering right now. Since it's a really small transplant, the root system is nice and small. I'm gonna keep this going probably maybe another month or so until probably I allow the flowers to keep going in. And as soon as you keep clipping off the flowers, pinching them off, this plant is gonna keep doubling and like probably keep bumping in size, and you're gonna really see a major growth spurt in this plant, and you're gonna see a ton of new leaves everywhere forming. So see how big this plant is here? We're gonna be probably doing maybe a 2-week update actually instead of a month, and I'll just show you just in 2 weeks how big this plant gets. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Hopefully it's not too long. And as always, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. And if you like the episode, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We'll be back soon. Thanks for watching.